Hello and welcome to the Socially Ambitious Podcast. I'm your co-host Liv.
I'm your co-host Jess.
And I'm your co-host Anna.
On this show, we'll be delving into all things social media, delegation, and influencer marketing.
Join us for insightful conversations on mastering work-life balance, pursuing your passions, and crafting the life you've always dreamed of.
Get ready for actionable tips and empowering discussions.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Socially Ambitious. I'm your co-host Liv.
And I'm your co-host Jess.
And we have a fun episode for you guys. Actually, I feel like this is going to be a really shared, listened to, re-listened to episode because we're about to drop a lot of knowledge and just a lot of helpful insider tips on what not to do when applying for jobs.
These are a few mistakes that we have seen over the last few months, just repeated. And although this is some insider course info, we decided to share it on the pod because we know we have a lot of our students on the pod, as well as aspiring students, people who just want to get into social media, people who are freelancers. And we just felt like this was really good, solid information for everyone to have if you are looking to enter a new space, get hired, take on a new position. So these are your what not to do's and red flags when hiring.
Yeah, I feel a little passionate about this subject because we have been hiring for quite a few years now. And we started taking notes from the very beginning when we would get Jess and I used to post on TikTok a few times. Those posts went viral and we would get hundreds of applicants when we were when we owned our social media agency. And we would get up to 200 applicants for a project manager position. So I feel have a lot of experience going through applications, seeing what the most common errors are, most common mistakes. So I feel passionate about this, and I feel like a lot of stuff for some of you, it may be common sense, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. A lot of things either just end up slipping by or, people don't do that third spelling check and they really need to. So I feel like this is going to be super helpful for you guys. We've also heard some feedback from influencers in our network who are interviewing our socially ambitious graduates, and they're they'll come to us and still say, hey, I'm still seeing a few spelling errors here. I'm still I'm still seeing a few mistakes here and there. So even though this is, stuff that's in our course, and I feel like we really tried as hard as we could to really get it into everyone's brains, there's some things that are just worth repeating, especially when making a first impression is so important. So take notes, listen closely, make sure you're applying all of this, and let's get right into it.
So first things first, email etiquette. It's your first impression, right? It's your first impression, Rose. You need to make sure that you're on top of your game here. You can start making mistakes down the line, but this you can't cut any corners on. I swear to God, if someone sends another application and they just say resume and attach their resume, never on God's green earth will you get married. What the fuck am I saying? Married? Hired. I'm so in your bridal era. It wasn't computing.
You'll never get married.
You will never get married. You know what I mean? You'll never get hired. Because imagine you send over there's some people so many people are applying for these positions, especially this in this day and age, the remote job market specifically and freelancer work, it's really oversaturated it is. So you have to be going above and beyond. You got to be Pussy Sutton to get seen out there. A simple resume and not even a hey hello short bio, it's just not going to do it for you. And know that every other applicant is also going above and beyond, so you really have to, you really got to show out. So
yeah,
go ahead.
And just to piggyback off of that, I think for a lot of people, they may not for the people who make the subject resume and then just attach a resume, I think they don't realize that that's not good. They might think this is how you do it. Everyone is doing it this way. This is just what you do. So if you're that person, that is not good. Don't do it.
No good.
Don't do it that way. The proper way is to have a full sentence in the subject line, and we'll kind of get into that, our tips and tricks for subject lines. Those are very important. And to introduce yourself in the body of an email, you definitely need to have some sort of supporting copy for someone. You got to give some people something to work with. They can't just see a resume and know that you're a perfect fit. So definitely don't do that. If you do that, it's showing very bare minimum effort, and you probably won't get hired. So we always want to go above and beyond. First impressions, very important.
So important. And also, we think it goes without saying, but apparently it doesn't. But including, your portfolio, including any other like additional materials that they can see and, you know, start really gaining a perspective on who you are as a candidate and like start sticking out to them. Like
Yes.
don't like let it go to the point where they have to follow up with you for your portfolio and stuff. Like,
Hmm.
make sure that they have everything that they might need to have a well-rounded idea of who you are.
Right. And we'll kind of get into this, we'll touch on this later as well, but while we're here, your job, especially like we're obviously gonna like niche down on an influencer's assistant applying to an influencer to be their assistant in some capacity or another. So when you're doing that, ultimately they are hiring someone to make their life easier. So when you are first pitching yourself to them and introducing yourself to them, if you already start off the bat making their life easier by giving them all the oh my God, we cannot talk today. All the resources that they need instead of them having to, for example, for them having to ask, hey, do you have a portfolio? Share the portfolio before they even get a chance to ask, because that's showing you already making their life easier. That is one less thing they have to do is ask for a portfolio. While we're here, that leads us into your resume. I think having a creative, fun, but still clean, classy layout for a resume is really important for this position. There is a big difference between a corporate resume and a creative resume. Obviously, you have to read the room and know the position that you are applying for. I'm also not opposed to someone changing the aesthetic of their resume based on who they're applying for. Even that is like some people might consider it extra. Some people might consider it going above and beyond. It's like I would go on the safe side and say you can never go above and beyond, especially when you're applying for a job that you really, really want. Like if this is your dream job, what else are we going above and beyond for? Like that is the one thing you want to shoot
Mhm.
for, the moon for. So, you definitely want to be creative. This is your chance to stand out, show a little bit of your personality. I would say corporate resume is probably black and white. Like Arial font, very just your standard thing. And that is what you probably want to use for a corporate position. I don't know. I feel like even corporate positions nowadays kind of want to see a little flair, but I wouldn't know. But when you're applying for something like this, definitely show your creative side. If say you have a skill set in graphic design, show that off in your resume. You don't have to like gatekeep that for your portfolio. Your resume might be the first thing that they're seeing. So, any little thing you can do to add in your special flair, a resume is a perfect opportunity to do that.
Totally. And like again, like let's say that you are, in looking for a graphic design position. Like make your resume your portfolio. Like make that like your first, little
Project.
project of, of work and showing them, like how the different things that you can do. Um, and yeah, even like what Liv said, like I think that even in a lot of creative, corporate positions as well, they want to see some flair, less because like if everyone's is the same, then like what allows you to stand out? Job experience? No. All right. Another huge mistake that we see a lot is lack of attention to detail. And this kind of goes in, with the first poor email etiquette or lacking proper cover letter. But just overall, like if there's, it just like goes down to like proofreading two, three, four times, send it to a friend, have a friend look it over, and then just make sure that, you're not like misspelling the company name. Make sure that you're, addressing the correct person. If, there's someone's name like that you're reaching out to, use their name. Like, make it a little bit more personal. Just make sure that you have attention to detail and that, everything is, the periods are where they should be, the commas are where they should be, the apostrophes are where they should be. We even see a lot of this with like, obviously the influencer's assistant course, influencers has an apostrophe in this case. And, a lot of people don't use the apostrophe. It's like really little things that, can go a long way.
Yeah, go a long way. And also, it's like these are the things employers or people on the other side, when they are hiring, they are looking for these things specifically. They're like, okay, did they use the
Mhm.
correct, form of that word? Did they put an apostrophe where it's supposed to go? Like these are the things they're looking for. So it's not just like, oh, they won't notice that. Yes, they absolutely will notice that and they are looking for that. It's like, like these are the things that people are, especially when this position it is all emails. You are basically if an influencer is the first thing an influencer hires for is typically inbox management. You are negotiating on their behalf, which is their livelihood. You are the liaison between them and brands. It is like this is crucial. Like when people are like, you have one job. Like you have one job. You cannot mess, email etiquette up. So things like poor grammar are huge hits. It's not just like, oh, that's no big deal. It's like, no, that's everything. And especially in this day and age, we have like Chrome build like plugins like Grammarly and we have AI and there's just no reason for grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes. Coming from someone who misspells everything, like there's no reason. Double check. It literally underlines red. Send it to a friend to proofread. There's no reason. Don't let one like grammar mistake go by.
Yeah, and if you don't have Grammarly installed on
Pro tip.
your browser, then what are you doing? I think another thing that's really commonly overlooked as well is not fully reading the job descriptions that people are posting and like if they're being specific about something, like then they know what they want. They want you to
Mm-hmm.
follow these directions and they want you
Mm-hmm.
to, of course, make it your own, but like, don't like skip a step or, like, I know sometimes like people are like, let's say that they are applying for an in-person position in, Cincinnati and you apply and then you're like, oh yeah, by the way, where is this located? I will not even respond to you because now you're just wasting my time. And I feel like there's a lot of that in job postings, and I think people maybe get overly eager and want to like send out their application and send out their materials as quickly as possible, but make sure that you are doing your research on the person, on the position, and make sure that you are, you know, accommodating to what exactly they're looking for.
Right. And also like if you still want to shoot your shot anyways, that's great, but make sure you acknowledge
Yeah.
that it's not quite exactly what they're looking for, but these are the ways you feel like you could make up for it or overcompensate for that.
Yeah.
Like make sure you're
Add value.
addressing, yeah, and addressing the fact that like, hey, I know you said that you're looking for someone in person. However, I still feel like I could help benefit you in this way. Like so that they don't think you're just missing stuff or looking over things or not paying attention to detail. Like you can still shoot your shot, just do it smartly. And I also definitely think that the more specific an influencer or any employer is with like instructions for how to apply, the more specific and like the more they're going to care about how you apply and how well someone follows those directions. It really depends. Like some people are more kind of just chill about it. It's more casual. They're like, "Hey, just send me a quick resume and would love to chat more." Like it could be as casual as that. Other people might have like a 5 to 10 step process that they want you to follow and are very specific. Those people, if they're being specific, you have to make sure you are being specific. Like match their energy there. And that's kind of in the vein of just like reading the room, understanding who you're applying to work for and matching their energy. Like I think that's nuanced, but also really, really important, especially for a position like this where you are working so closely with a person and like speaking on behalf of them, it's really important like to have those interpersonal skills, communication skills, and to pick up on them quickly. And I think that reflects that like in a very fast way or like in a very first impression way. Okay, next, this is actually this is my favorite because this is something I think people kind of skip or miss the most. A lot of times, especially when we were hiring, there were so many applicants that would have been a really good fit and probably still would have been, but for us this was just like a red flag or like an ick is when they say something along the lines of this job is a perfect fit for me right now in my life. So anything along the lines of that or another red flag, and this may be controversial, but is when people say this would be a really great learning experience for me. So when you're on the other side and you're hiring someone, you are being selfish. You are looking for, again, you are looking for someone to make your life easier. You don't really want to hear how you can make someone else's life easier or someone else's life better because that's just the position that you're in, right? You're looking to hire, you're looking to pay someone, and this person is supposed to add value to your life. And of course, you add value to their life. It's mutually beneficial. You're giving them a job, you're giving them monetary value. But it's really, really important when you are applying for roles that you are expressing to the person on the other side how you would be a great fit for them and not vice versa, because it's just not a time and place where you can come off as selfish. You want to be selfless and just say everything you can bring to the table, how you can make their life easier, how you would be such amazing, perfect fit for them right now. And then Jess, I don't know if you want to touch about the learning experience. I feel like that's kind of in the same vein, but also like a whole different thing too.
Well, yeah, and like I think it just goes without saying that like a job is going to be learning experience for you. Like, of course it will. We all learn something at a new job or a new position. But there again, it's just like a time or in place. And like it's not the time nor the place when you're trying to get the job to like communicate to them like how great it would be for you because they don't know you. They're not invested in you. They don't care about you at this stage in time, you know? They want to know how you can provide value to them and then keep all the little like added benefits to yourself because it's just kind of irrelevant at that stage in the process.
Yeah, like someone's not going realistically, and sorry, it may be harsh, but someone isn't going to hire you out of pity or like feeling like, oh, I could really make a difference in this person's life. Like that's not the reason someone is starting to hire. They're starting to hire for, the opposite.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, if that's like an added benefit like down the line
Yeah.
and you can somehow communicate to them that like, you know, this would be a game changer for you for X, Y, maybe, third, fourth interview in, maybe like if it's that long of a
Hmm.
process, but definitely not something that needs to be discussed in your like, your initial outreach and your initial interview. Because yeah,
It
some people are kind and they do want to feel like they're, giving back in a sense, but at the same time, it's just, not the original intent of the job listing.
Right. And an influencer also might ask that question. Like maybe they'll pose that question for you. Like, how do you think I can be a benefit to you? Like, how do you see me fitting into your life? That's a great opportunity to then spill the beans on
Totally.
everything you think in that matter. Like if they ask, totally answer. But I just don't think that is vital information like first and foremost. And to touch on the learning experience as well, I think there is a way, it's a fine line to share with someone that you think it might be a learning experience. For us, almost every single time we heard that, it was an automatic no,
Hmm.
unfortunately, because if we were hiring an intern, sure, great. That is exactly what we want an intern to do. It's a learning experience. Maybe it's an unpaid internship, so that is what they are getting out of, the position. That's really the only time it's appropriate to say would be such an amazing learning experience for me. Other than that, I think there's a way to say like it as a complimentary statement to other things about how you're super qualified and you feel like this would really sharpen up a skill set. I think like if you're going to mention that, that is the way to do it, but you want to have already convinced the person on the other side that you are like 110% qualified for this position, not that you would be like using it as an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, totally. And additionally, when you are applying, I kind of touched on this earlier, but make sure that you're doing your research on the person, right? And kind of like what even what Olivia was saying earlier about like, if you're a graphic designer, use that to be like, your portfolio and, step out a little bit. And I think that like, I think it's good to like cater to whoever you are applying to because like, let's say that you're applying to be an influencer assistant for like Nikita Dragon versus, I don't know, Sally the Mormon influencer in Utah. Like maybe, hear me out, maybe change it up a little bit. Maybe, if that's what you want to do, like if you'd rather work for one versus the other or you want to get both positions, I think it would be in your best interest to change up the aesthetic a little bit so that the influencer can see you fitting seamlessly into their life, and that like, potentially that you've done a little bit of extra research on them as well. I think um, we always recommend that, especially to, anyone who is like struggling to get hired. It really is these little moments of going above and beyond. And like, I, I had a friend who is an influencer's assistant, and she had an interview and was asking me for interview tips, and she sent me the girl's profile, and I was like, okay, I see that she has XYZ things going on. Literally create a solution for each thing when you're going into this interview and say how you can provide value on each business venture, on each platform. Or you see that she just had a baby influencer pull, or a baby, she just had a baby influencer. Child labor laws out the fucking window. She just had a baby influencer. Baby's out the womb with her tripod.
It'd be like that though, I swear.
No, it honestly, it's unfortunate, but it is. But she just had a baby, maybe get her, pull 5 different um mommy influencer, collabs that would benefit her, whether it's a stroller or, a diaper collab. I don't know. I don't know why I used a mother as this example, but that's where we're at. Okay. So, and in short, she got the position. So I don't know, kind of works. And that's a slay. And I just know that if someone were to approach Olivia and I, and when we're hiring and is, knows everything that we have going on, oh my God, that's an
Green flag.
automatic green flag, automatic, like we're keeping their resume pulled to the side because we're like, if this person has taken, the extra 30 minutes to research everything that we do. We've had even people come into interviews and say like, oh, I listened to your podcast. I really loved
Hmm.
it. Like even that, like it's not not a prerequisite by any means. However, like it kind of like should be because you'll get so much better of an idea of who we are, our communication styles, how we work, and yeah, and obviously so you could see if it's a good fit for you as well with everything that they have going on.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that too. It's like it gives like the person hiring more trust that, oh, there is a synergy here because this person has taken the time to really look into who I am and like the things I have going on in my career, and they're still here interviewing with me. They truly think that this is a good fit,
Hmm.
versus like because someone could also be searching, job hunting, be doing a lot of interviews. And if they show up and they don't know anything about you, it like doesn't feel as you're like, you just want a job, which is fine. Like we all just want a job. Like
Yeah,
that's fair. But it feels more personal and more like, okay, this truly might be a really good fit when they've done that extra homework. And
for
it doesn't
sure.
take a lot of time. Like even I don't remember who it was. It might have even been Anna, but I remember someone in an interview mentioning my YouTube channel and like I don't that's kind of like probably my least like nurtured platform, but I'm still like a forever. I'm still trying to grow it. But the fact that they brought it up and they're like, I would love to make your thumbnails for you because I know that's a super time consuming thing. I can add timestamps, I can do your descriptions. I see that your most popular video was a Revolve haul. Like I'd love to help you, whatever, whatever, link the dresses. And like that is everything.
It's
That is
invaluable.
everything. If they did that but had zero experience, that I'd put them up at the same level as someone who has like 3 years experience. It
Yeah.
really so think about these things like wherever you are lacking, think about how you can make up for it and overcompensate for it in other ways. And even I mentioned this a few episodes ago with Taylor, when we had Taylor Mandel on, but we were talking about how we hired our current social media manager for Socially Ambitious, Gabby, with zero experience, but she took the initiative of creating a mock feed for clients. Like,
Hmm.
and we hired her based off of her mock feed. So it just
Yeah.
goes to show it's like there's really no reason, there's really no excuse. If you don't have the experience, make it up. You know, it's not like you're fooling anyone. You're being transparent and saying, this is a mock feed and this is what I would do for this client. And that shows everything. Like that initiative is absolutely everything, especially if you are struggling with, if you've been interviewing and you've been applying and you're not getting feedback, you're not seeing success there. I promise you, going above and beyond in these little ways will make all the difference.
Yeah. Also, like, yeah, if you don't have experience, like you can like pull experience like out of thin air, like taking a random Instagram account that like, you feel like you could perform on their feed better and doing a mock feed. It doesn't have to be, like a Forever 21 or, a massive brand or anything like that. But, you know, there's no rules against taking someone's feed and making it better. And then,
Yeah.
using that for your experience.
Yeah, and obviously we're not telling you guys to like fake anything. Like always be transparent if it's a mock anything. Definitely want to be transparent with that. But what we're saying is like it shows resourcefulness, and that is also extremely, extremely important in this position is someone who is very resourceful and can just figure things out before even bringing it to your employer or your influencer, whoever it is you're working for, being like, hey, here's a problem. I got the solution, and presenting them with solution instead of problems. That is everything.
Being solution oriented, number one.
Yes. And I feel like it's also helpful to, you can like hear the difference between a good resume and a bad resume, or like a good email pitch and a bad email pitch, but it's so much more helpful. And this is why we go through it so in depth in the course of like, here's example A. And then we use real life examples too, which, we block out everyone's name, of course, but I think that's the only way to really see the difference between the two is like, this is an example of a good resume. This is an example of a not great resume. This is an example of a really, really strong pitch. This is an example of a not so strong pitch that we're probably gonna breeze over and then next on to the next one. So I think just the more knowledge you have, obviously, the stronger you can feel when applying for these positions. And yeah, I would just say knowledge is everything because you also don't know what you don't know. So I think it's really important to just try to listen to all the episodes if you're thinking about the course. Oh, we have a new webinar launching soon, which is super good. Very excited
Oh
for
yeah.
that. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that if you guys are listening and you want more training or you haven't pulled the trigger on the course yet, but kind of just want to soak up all the knowledge that you can from our socials and the podcast. We have a new training coming out, which we're very excited for. Do we know when it's launching?
It should be live Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same day as
So
this.
same
Heard it
day as
here
this.
first. Heard it here
Hell yeah,
first.
brother.
Very excited for that. I think that just about wraps us up.
If you guys liked this episode, take a screenshot, tag me, tag Liv, tag Socially Ambitious, and we will see you back here next week.
Bye.
Bye, brothers.